What's up, WrestleScope Nation? And listen, I need you to stop whatever you're doing right now because what I'm about to tell you is absolutely insane. And I'm not using that word lightly. Friday Night SmackDown just delivered one of the most shocking, most brutal, and most controversial moments we have seen in WWE in years. And the fact that WWE allowed this to happen, the fact that this was sanctioned, the fact that Paul Heyman and Bron Breakker were left vulnerable, I'm telling you right now, this changes everything. And if you think WWE didn't just make the biggest mistake of the year, you need to stick around because by the end of this video, you're going to be furious at what just went down. Hello viewers, if you're new here, please don't forget to like and hit the subscribe button for daily updates on WWE Raw. The setup, a normal backstage segment, turns into chaos. Alright, so let me paint the picture for you. It's Friday Night SmackDown, and we've got Paul Heyman, the legendary advocate, the wise man, doing what he does best, cutting a backstage promo. Now, Paul Heyman has been in this business for over 3 decades. This man has seen it all. He's bandaged the most dangerous superstars in WWE history. He's been through ECW, he's survived the Attitude Era, and he's been Roman Reigns' right-hand man for years. But on this night, on this particular Friday, nothing could have prepared him for what was about to happen. Paul Heyman is in the middle of discussing business, talking strategy, doing his thing with that signature Heyman charisma and eloquence that we've all come to know and love, or hate, depending on where you stand. And who's with him? Bron Breakker, the second-generation superstar, the son of Rick Steiner, the nephew of Scott Steiner, the former NXT champion who has been dominating everything in his path since arriving on the main roster. Now, Bron Breakker is no small dude, folks. This man is 6 feet tall, 230 pounds of pure muscle and intensity. This is a guy who can throw you across the ring like you're a rag doll. This is a guy who's been trained by one of the most legendary wrestling families in the business. If anyone should be able to protect themselves backstage, it's Bron Breakker. But here's where things get interesting. And by interesting, I mean absolutely terrifying. Because nobody, and I mean nobody, saw what was coming next. The attack, Bronson Reed unleashes absolute chaos. Out of nowhere, and I genuinely mean out of nowhere, like a freight train crashing through a brick wall, comes Bronson Reed. Now let's talk about Bronson Reed for a second, because if you don't understand who this man is, you need to understand the severity of what just happened. Bronson Reed is 6'1", 330 pounds of Australian fury. This is not some cruiserweight trying to make a name for himself. This is not some mid-card wrestler looking for his moment. This is a giant of a man who has been absolutely unhinged since returning to WWE. And when I say he attacked Paul Heyman and Bron Breakker, I don't mean he shoved them. I don't mean he got in their faces and talked some trash. I mean this man went into full destroyer mode. The first thing Reed does, he blindsides Bron Breakker. We're talking about a full-force shoulder tackle that sends Breakker crashing into the production equipment. And remember, this is Bron Breakker we're talking about. This is one of the most athletic, most powerful young superstars on the entire roster. And Reed just demolished him like he was nothing. But it gets worse, so much worse. Because after taking out Breakker, Bronson Reed turns his attention to Paul Heyman. Now, Paul Heyman is a non-wrestler. Yes, he's been physical in the past. Yes, he's taken bumps here and there. But this man is primarily a manager, an advocate, a mouthpiece. He's not a competitor. He's not someone who should be in physical confrontations. And what does Bronson Reed do? He grabs Paul Heyman by the collar, lifts him up, and I am not exaggerating when I say this, he ragdolls him. He throws Heyman into the wall and you can hear the impact. You can hear Paul Heyman's body hitting that concrete wall, and the sound alone is enough to make you cringe. But Reed isn't done. Oh no, he's just getting started. Bron Breakker, to his credit, tries to get back up and defend Heyman. This shows you the kind of character Bron Breakker has. Despite being blindsided, despite being hurt, he's trying to protect someone who can't protect themselves. That's the mark of a true professional. That's the mark of a real superstar. But what does Reed do? He catches Breakker with a devastating clothesline that turns him inside out. I'm talking about the kind of clothesline that makes you wonder if someone just got their head taken off. Breakker goes down, and he goes down hard. And then comes the most controversial part, the part that has everyone talking, the part that has social media exploding right now. Bronson Reed, with both men down, with security nowhere in sight, with nobody there to stop him, he starts pummeling them. Closed fist shots, forearm after forearm. He's hitting Paul Heyman, he's stomping on Bron Breakker. This isn't wrestling anymore, folks. This is an assault. This is something that in any other workplace would have the police called immediately. Where was security? Where were the referees? Where were the producers? Where was anyone to stop this madness? The aftermath, chaos and controversy. Now let's talk about what happened after the attack, because this is where things get even more controversial, if you can believe that. Reports from backstage say that it took 7, count them, 7 people to finally pull Bronson Reed off of Heyman and Breakker. 7. And according to multiple sources, Reed was still trying to get back to them even after being restrained. This man was in an absolute rage, a complete and total frenzy. Paul Heyman, according to reports, had to be helped to the trainer's room immediately. Now, WWE hasn't released an official statement on his condition yet, but multiple sources are saying he was being evaluated for possible injuries to his ribs and back. Remember, this is a man who's not a trained wrestler taking bumps from a 330-pound monster. The physics alone should tell you how serious this could be. And Bron Breakker? Well, here's where it gets interesting. Breakker, being the absolute warrior that he is, didn't want medical attention at first. He wanted to go back after Bronson Reed. He wanted revenge. It took Triple H himself, according to sources, to calm Breakker down and convince him to get checked out by the medical staff. But here's the question that everyone is asking right now, the question that has social media absolutely divided, the question that you need to answer in the comments. Why did Bronson Reed do this? Because here's the thing, this wasn't a random attack. This wasn't a case of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Bronson Reed targeted these two specifically. He went looking for them. He had a purpose. He had a plan. So what's the motive? What's the reason? What could Paul Heyman and Bron Breakker have possibly done to warrant this kind of vicious, unprovoked attack? The tribal chief connection. Alright, so let's break down the possible reasons, and I want you to tell me in the comments which theory you think makes the most sense. Theory number 1. This is all about Roman Reigns and the bloodline. Think about it. Paul Heyman was, and always will be associated with Roman Reigns. He's the wise man. He's been by Roman's side through the entirety of his historic championship reign. Even with all the recent drama, even with Solo Sikoa trying to take over the bloodline, Paul Heyman's loyalty has always been questioned but never fully broken when it comes to Roman. So could Bronson Reed be sending a message to Roman Reigns? Could this attack on Heyman be Reed's way of saying, I'm coming for you next, Tribal Chief? And think about the timing. Roman Reigns has been dealing with the bloodline civil war, he's been dealing with Solo Sikoa's attempted takeover, and now he has to worry about a 330-pound wrecking ball who just attacked his wise man? But here's where it gets even more interesting. What about Bron Breakker's involvement? Why would Reed attack him if this was just about sending a message to Roman? Well, rumors have been swirling for weeks that Bron Breakker might be getting involved in the bloodline storyline. There's been speculation that Triple H wants to do something big with Bron Breakker, potentially aligning him with Roman Reigns as a new enforcer, a new muscle for the bloodline. If Bronson Reed got wind of this, if he knew that Breakker was being positioned as Roman's new protection, then taking out both Heyman and Breakker in one attack, that's not just sending a message, that's declaring war. Bronson Reed's personal vendetta. But wait, there's more. Theory number 2 is even more personal, and honestly it might make the most sense when you really dig into Bronson Reed's history. Let's rewind the clock a little bit. Bronson Reed was released from WWE back in 2021. He was let go during the budget cuts, sent packing, told he wasn't needed anymore. And where did he go? He went to the independent scene, he went to NJW, he went everywhere he could to prove that WWE made a massive mistake. And guess what? He succeeded. He showed the wrestling world that he's not just some big guy, he's a legitimate star. He can fly through the air despite weighing 330 pounds, he can cut promos, he can connect with the audience, he did everything right. WWE eventually brought him back, but here's the thing, when he came back angry. He came back with a chip on his shoulder the size of Australia. And can you blame him? Now here's where Paul Heyman comes into play. Paul Heyman is the ultimate insider. He's been in Vince McMahon's ear, he's been in Triple H's ear, he's been involved in creative decisions for decades. Is it possible that Heyman had something to do with Reed's original release? Is it possible that Heyman didn't see the value in Bronson Reed and recommended he be let go? We don't have confirmation of this, but in the wrestling business, these kinds of behind-the-scenes politics happen all the time. And if Reed found out that Heyman had a hand in his release, if he discovered that the wise man wasn't so wise when it came to recognizing his talent, then this attack makes perfect sense. It's not about championships. It's not about storylines. It's about revenge. It's about payback. It's about making the man who might have cost you your job pay for that decision. And Bron Breakker? Well, Breakker represents everything Reed isn't in WWE's eyes. Breakker is the golden child, the second-generation superstar with the pedigree, the look, the name recognition. Meanwhile, Reed had to fight and claw his way back into the company. Could Reed's attack on Breakker be rooted in jealousy and frustration and anger at the fact that guys like Breakker get opportunity after opportunity handed to them, while guys like Reed have to prove themselves over and over again? Now let me throw out theory number 3, and this one is going to make some of you really angry, but hear me out. What if, and I'm just putting this out there, what if WWE planned this entire thing? Now before you destroy me in the comments, just think about it logically. WWE has been trying to create moments that go viral, that get people talking, that break through the noise of social media. And what's more shocking than a brutal backstage attack on a non-wrestler and one of your rising stars? Paul Heyman is a genius